Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates, coming to you from the Area Command 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. Yay, Panthers! Go Panthers, go BYU, go Aztecs, go Utes, go everybody. Let's go, let's play football. It's football season. Yes, football season has started, guys. Way to go, guys. Awesome, 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 awesome. I want to welcome everybody here to the channel today. We already have quite a few people here in chat. We have Demon Catman from the east of England, the first man in here. Richard Smith, the next one. Arnold Schmidt is the next one. Sleeping Volcano. Matt Martin, my good friend, is here. Thank you so much, Matt. Nicole Modar is here. Richard Smith is here from the way over on the East Coast, up in Canada, Nova Scotia, Canada. Welcome, Richard. We appreciate you here as well. It's 5 by 5 here so far tonight, Richard says, and I hope it stays that way. Last night we got kicked off by YouTube. I did my best to try to figure out what happened, and it's come to my attention that YouTube kicked us off for whatever reason. They did not give us a reason, but we got kicked off. Juby Joe says he turned off Dave Hodges for me. I'm sorry, Juby Joe. I love Dave Hodges myself. I didn't listen to him today, but I will go back and listen to his program later tonight. Dave Hodges is a friend of mine. I really appreciate him. Just before we get started tonight, I want to show you a card we got from our dear friends Laura and John up in Oregon. Look at this for a garden. Isn't that something? Look at the tomatoes. Look at the corn. Look at tomatoes and corn here. Awesome. Awesome. But that's not all, folks. There's more. I got this card from them today. It says, "Hi, Ron and Carol. Here's a photo of our family vegetable garden. We include flowers to making the garden a beautiful place to work, John and Laura Holbrook." Look at that. They did include flowers here. It's an awesome garden. Beautiful. Beautiful. John and Laura also gave us a American Express card here. We really appreciate that as well. Thank you so much, John and Laura. We love you very much. John and Laura have been friends of mine from way, way back when. So I appreciate you all. Juby Joe says, yes, got kicked off in your replay as well. Oh, that's so sad. YouTube kicking somebody off during my replay. That's what YouTube does. That's what they specialize in, is limiting free speech. And I wasn't really saying anything wrong last night at all. I could go off the deep end. And I have gone off the deep end in the past. But they just decide what they're going to do and when they're going to do it. Demon Catman says, overmodulation, distortion, turn your microphone down a bit. I just did. Is this any better, guys? I hope this is better. Thank you, Dean. I appreciate you telling me that. Overmodulation isn't good. Even on ham radio or CB radio, overmodulation is not good at all. Don Patoka from Salt Lake City, Utah is here. Welcome, Don. Appreciate you, brother. Richard Smith says sounds good. So we're going to continue tonight. Folks, I've got something to tell you about. I've got a lot to tell you about, in fact. I want to first talk about what is going on. Well, before I get to that, I showed you John and Laura's garden. I have a 7-foot tomato plant in my backyard. Look at that. This is 3 stems of a tomato plant. Yes, I do have tomatoes there as well. I've got about 14 tomatoes there that have not ripened yet. I hope they will be in the next couple weeks. We would love to have some tomatoes to put on sandwiches or in salads or even in salsa. Salsa. I love salsa. Yes, that's a looking good plant. Okay? Big, huge tomato leaves as well as tomatoes on the plant now. The tomatoes didn't show up until about 2 or 3 weeks ago, So now it does look good, okay? So that's what's going on in our garden. The other plants we had a huge pumpkin plant, and it just got eaten up by bugs and finally died. It had huge leaves like this, and yet the leaves and everything died because of bugs. And I'm going to try to figure that out and maybe even plant a couple more pumpkin seeds and see what I get out of it. I would love to see some pumpkins by October. That would be really great. I don't think it's going to happen, but I'm going to try. We had some squash I planted, and the bugs got to that as well. They literally ate into the squash itself, and I had like 3 different squash that were about that long, and they ate into the squash and destroyed it and destroyed the plant as well. Rob Nauber's here saying, hope you're well, Ron. Thank you so much. We appreciate you, Bob. Thank you so much for that. Before I really get started, though, I want to tell you that our dear friend Rob52 is on a cruise for his anniversary tonight. He and his wife stepped onto a cruise ship earlier this afternoon, and they will be on, I think, a 7 to 10 day cruise starting tonight. And they're starting off in Upper New York, up in New York State, and then they're going to continue up, I believe, even up into Nova Scotia, Canada. So, guys, we won't see Rob probably for another week to 10 days, but we wish his wife and he and Rob well during their cruise. They're going to have a great time. They're going to have a really great time. Actually, we wish we were with him, too. That would be a riot. But anyway, that's what's going on. Now, there's some illegal immigrant activity I want to talk about. I want to show you something from Fox News San Diego. This is important. This is very important. We'll talk about more in a second.
A group of migrants tried to board a school bus this morning while it was traveling to a school. The superintendent for the Humboldt del Zura Union School District informed parents of that incident earlier today. It happened at one of the stops on the school district's bus route that heads to Oak Grove Middle School and Humboldt Primary. Meanwhile, yesterday afternoon, in a similar area along another route, the superintendent says that a group of migrants tried to stop another bus. Border Patrol, CHP, and the Sheriff's Office have now been informed of these incidents. The superintendent says that for the safety of everyone, if a driver sees a group of migrants at a bus stop, they will drive past it and move on to the next.
That's what's going on. Isn't it something that these illegal immigrants try to stop a bus so they can take the bus and take off and go elsewhere? Go to other parts of California or to other parts of the United States. They may not have gotten very far because those buses don't get that good a gas mileage, and I believe they're all running on anything else but gas. Some of them are running on natural gas, but those buses don't get good gas mileage, and so those illegal immigrants wouldn't get very far. But these people are in a sanctuary state. They think that they can do whatever they dadgum well please and get away with it. They just want to continue to raise heck and bad stuff here in the United States. This is just one incident that we've talked about. Just one incident. And they continue to happen. Okay? They continue to happen. Now, there was a notice issued by the school districts to families. Okay, Superintendent Liz Bystedt said a group of immigrants attempted to board the district's A and B school bus routes yesterday, and it's the first incident that occurred on Route A near the intersection of Highway 94 and Coachera Via on Tuesday afternoon. Actually, it was 2 days ago. According to Superintendent Bystedt, a group of 3 men were walking in the middle of the highway to stop one of the buses, prompting it to go around the group. They did not hit the immigrants. A Route B school bus then came upon a group of about 20 men Wednesday morning as it was picking up students from the same bus stop. Bystedt said parents present at the stop helped the bus driver ensure students were safe and that no one boarded the buses except the students. Isn't that interesting that these migrants want to hijack a bus? At this time, it's unclear whether the two groups are connected. No injuries to students or staff or parents or immigrants were reported. Additional details about the incidents are not immediately available because, guess what? Guess what? The government doesn't want anybody to know about it, and so they're not willing to release any more information. The school district reported the incidents to the U.S. Border Patrol, California Highway Patrol, and San Diego County Sheriff's Office. Unreal. Juby Joe says, our babies are on the bus. You're absolutely right, Juby. You're absolutely right. Our babies are on that bus, and it's up to each one of us, as citizens of the United States, as citizens of our counties, citizens of our towns and cities, to stand up and say, no, we're not going to allow this to happen. Now, what would happen if these migrants were blocking the road? What if these 20 migrants, the last bunch of migrants that were there, tried to block the road completely? What would happen then? Would the bus driver try to back up? And I know for a fact in that area of Humboldt, California, which is in southeast San Diego County, in a rather semi-mountainous community, it would have been very dangerous for the school bus driver to try to back away from those migrants. What would happen? I would hope those migrants would move, or the bus driver try to push them out of the way. That's what I would do if I was a driver. And yes, that might be wrong. That might be wrong, but guess what? I'm not going to allow any of the students to be taken and hurt, injured, or worse by those immigrants. It's not going to happen. I may have run down some of those migrants that would have been their own darn fault. They don't belong in this country, number one, and they don't belong trying to stop a bus full of children. Not now, not ever. Not now, not ever. Juby Joe says, news now says that the drivers are seeing some unusual presence at the bus stop. They'll skip that stop. They better skip the stop because they will be taken down. I'm sure that the presence of parents and or police will stop them. I hope. Now, other things have been happening. We tried to talk to you last night about Icelandic eruptions that have been happening over in Iceland. We told you that the Icelandic eruptions was a long fissure about 13,000 feet long. Actually 13,000 meters long. Now the fissure has started closing itself down. That fissure is starting to close itself down. There are now 3 main craters that have opened up on that fissure. That's exactly what happened the last time the eruption happened. Activity in the eruption area in Iceland is normal. Nothing is out of the ordinary going on right now. Activity in the eruption is also very stable during the last few days. All data at the eruption site in Iceland shows that this eruption is the largest eruption in the area since the unrest period began in the autumn of November 2023. This assumption is based on measurements of the lava field so far and model calculations that the estimate of the amount of magma that is propagated from the Svartsengi to the Sundakur area crater when the eruption started, the area lava field has reached 15.1 kilometers to the second power. 15.1 kilometers to the second power. That is a lot of lava. That is a heck of a lot of lava. Now let me show you some other pictures I've got here. Okay? First, this is a hazard map for the volcanic unrest. I wanted to show you this. First off, I want to start off Zone 2. Tephra. Tephra, for lack of any other kind of name, is lava. Lava. And gas pollution. Gas pollution is SO2, which is sulfur dioxide, and CO2, which is carbon dioxide. Very toxic gases. Zone 3. Zone 1 is over by the city over there. Okay? That wonderful city that they tried, that the lava field tried to burn down back at the beginning of the year. It didn't work. Zone 3, the sinkholes, tephra, gas pollution, eruptive fissures, fault movements. There are many faults in that area. Fault movements, eruptive fissures, and lava flow. Lava flow is all throughout the area. Zone 4, sinkholes. Sinkholes have been established along the fissure area. Sinkholes. Zone 5, lava flow, gas pollution, and again, lava tephra. Zone 6, sinkholes, fault movements, lava flow, and more ash and lava flow gas pollution. Zone 7, they've seen sinkholes. Now, I want to bring this down where you can see everything here. You notice the color codes here, the scale for hazards. The light green shows low hazard rate. The orange yellow says moderate rate. The the basic orange color says considerable hazards. The red is high hazards, very dangerous, and the black here is actually the black purple is very high. This is a Greenvik area. Greenvik area. Nothing is happening in Greenvik at all. The lava flow is nowhere near Greenvik this time. Okay? Nothing's going on in Greenvik at all. Now let me make this a little bit smaller so you can see what I'm talking about. Zone 7 here, having sinkholes. This area is south of Greenvik. Okay? Zone 1 is west of Greenvik. Zone 1 is west of Greenvik. Now, Zone 1 also includes Svartsengi, the Svartsengi power plant and the Blue Lagoon spa. Okay? Now, we go up to Zone 3. Zone 3 here in the gray, this is where the most dangerous part is. That's because there's a fissure there, 13,000 kilometers long. 13,000 kilometers long. To the east and southeast of that is Zone 6. Okay? Still can be a very dangerous area because there is some lava flow into Zone 6 area. And lava flow also north and west into Zone 5. Now I want to go over here and zoom in here on the Svartsengi area. I want to zoom in where the lava flow is as well. So if you guys will just give me a second here to show you this area. Okay? This area in Zone 1 is where some of the danger is. It's considerable but mild danger area. Very mild hazard area. This is where the Svartsengi power plant and the Blue Lagoon spa is. Okay? Where the Svartsengi power plant is and the Blue Lagoon is where the huge magma reservoir beneath the ground is. Okay? That magma reservoir has been pumping out magma over to the fissure zone in Zone 3 here. That fissure is between Hagerfeld and Sunrikafell that you see here. It also goes north to Slingerfell to the upper north area here. Okay? It goes from Hagerfell on the west side of the fissure all the way up to Slingerfell to the northeast or to the northwest here. Okay? That's a huge lava field. Huge lava field here. Now, subsidence is still detected at Svartsengi, meaning the ground level is going down. When the lava was pouring out of that fissure at the volcano, the ground started going down at Svartsengi because the magma reservoir underneath the power plant and the Blue Lagoon Spa was pumping out lava to the landscape, which caused the subsidence to occur, the ground to go down. The outflow from magma from the reservoir is still greater than the inflow of magma. The incoming magma is still very slow, very much slower than the outflow. Lava flows mostly to the northwest and also to the east. The estimated extrusion rate is now, on August 26, several tons of cubic meters per second. Several tens of cubic meters per second. I think I said tons. It should be several tens of cubic meters per second. That still is a lot of lava on the upper part of the ground here. When magma started propagating from the Svartsengi reservoir to the Sunnakur crater on Thursday evening, yesterday, land subsided by a maximum of 10 centimeters. 10 centimeters subsidence. The ground fell that far because the magma reservoir beneath it went down. That is almost twice as much subsidence that's measured on May 29th this year during the last eruption. Twice as much subsidence. That's a good thing. Now, this fits well with the fact that this is the largest event since this whole event started back in November last year. This is the last eruption that happened on May 29th, and now we're having this eruption, and we're seeing more lava coming out onto the ground than we've ever had. Okay? That's incredible. The subsidence over at Svartsengi continues to go down, but it's at a decreasing rate now day by day. It's being assumed that the extrusion rate out of the magma reservoir on Saturday could be 100 meters to the third power. 100 meters to the third power. That's huge. The decreasing rate of the substance indicates that the extrusion rate is now down to about 1/4 of what it was. Model calculations suggest that 17 to 27 million cubic meters of magma have propagated from the reservoir beneath Svartsengi to where the eruption site is today. Isn't that interesting? 17 to 27 million cubic meters. That is a lot of lava. Now, the eruption continues in that area just northeast of Skogfjell, and the activities remain fairly stable, at least for the last several days. There are two main lava fountains still active, which seem quite vigorous. Lava fountains continue to flow mostly to the northwest, and lava out on the lava field continues at a slow rate, but also to the east. Now, there's also greater seismic activity. There's greater seismic activity, meaning more earthquakes. The earthquakes are caused by magma going through the ground, trying to pump out to the fissure. Magma fracturing rock as it heads to the fissure. That is what's causing the earthquakes. They had about 20 earthquakes in the last 24 hours. 20 earthquakes in the last 24 hours. Greater seismic activity is being detected since the onset of the eruption on August 22nd. Okay? Greater seismic activity has been detected since the eruption started on August 22nd. That's probably because the eruption is now taking place. The eruption is now taking place further north. A lot further north than it was last May or even last November. Okay? Now, as this lava forces its way north, there's going to be magma down beneath the surface that is trying to force its way through rock. So more tension is going to be built up. More tension is going to be built up. And the pressure of the magma in that tension rock area is going to be huge. And as the tension builds up, we're going to see what we see. Okay? As that tension builds up, as the magma beneath the ground tries to force its way through the bedrock, we may see another eruption. We could see another eruption. Now, whereas this tension has been released significantly further south in the previous events, the tension is building up as it goes north, as the magma tries to force itself through the rock. Again, there have been 20 earthquakes detected in the dike area during the past 24 hours. 110 earthquakes have occurred since Monday. 110 earthquakes have occurred since Monday. Now, these are mostly confined to the volcanically fissure active area. Now, we talked briefly about toxic gas a few seconds ago. Toxic gas, again, sulfur dioxide, SO2, and carbon dioxide, CO2. Those toxic gases have been blowing mostly northwesterly winds, directing the gas pollution to the southeast. Most of that gas pollution has been to the southeast, not into Greenvik. Greenvik has been evacuated. Greenvik has been evacuated mostly by residents, but I believe the fishermen warehouses are still open, and I believe they're still processing fish at the warehouses over next to Greenvik Harbor. But the rest of the town has been evacuated. Since this eruption started, there's been very, very little toxic gas at all. Very tolerable. Now, Icelandic authorities are asking everyone to pay attention to how they feel. Pay attention to the way you feel. And I know we have a couple of people from Iceland that are monitoring this channel. Pay attention to what you're feeling. If you feel dizzy or nauseous, make sure you get some help right now. Make sure you get some help right now. Diane Kelman says, I just got here. What area is this in California? No, it's not in California. We're talking right now about Iceland. We're talking about right now Iceland. Hurricane Heather says she's hauling groceries. Be right back. Take your time, Heather. We appreciate you. But this is just Iceland right now. Okay? I wanted to make sure you had a good sense of what we're doing here. We've been reporting about what has been happening in Iceland since last November. That's not going to stop. Okay? I didn't get a chance to talk to Professor Thorvaldsen on Wednesday like we had planned. I hope to talk to him at the beginning of this next week. Professor Thorvaldsen is a great man. I've learned to respect him, and I've gotten a lot of good information from him. But like I said, I do hope that we get more information this next week. Demon Catman says, show the whole map here. Okay, I can do that. And yes, this map came out of the Met office in Iceland. Okay, I'm showing you the zones. I'm showing you the hazard levels here. And for the most part, I'm showing you what is happening in the different zones. Okay? Again, Zone 1. Okay? Zone 1. This is a primary hazard area. Okay? Zone 3 is also a primary hazard area. Now, while Zone 1 is in a yellow-orange area with very little happening, okay, it's still a moderately dangerous area. Zone 3 is very dangerous. Zone 3 is very dangerous because that is where the fissure is. Now, they're also asking people to still stay out of the eruption area. If you don't have any business being there, leave. Don't go there. Don't go there. Juby Joe is saying, or asking, so where is the military in Iceland now? The military has also been helping keep the highways open. Now, there are some roadways that have been closed since this eruption began. Some of the roadways have been closed. The Icelandic military have been very successful in helping the authorities keep those roads closed and keeping people out. But when people walk around or drive around where the eruption's happening and then walk into the eruption area, it becomes problematic. Okay? It becomes very problematic. And yes, the authorities have had some problems keeping people out of the eruption area. The authorities have been trying to keep cameras in the area and also to use drones to fly over the area. They've also been using the helicopter from Reykjavik, from the Icelandic Met Office, to get real video out of the area so they can judge and better clarify where the danger areas are and what the fissure is doing. Okay, they're using the drones, and occasionally they do fly a helicopter over at least once a day to ascertain what is going on there in the fissure area. Okay? Does anybody have any more questions? Those are good questions, guys. I appreciate it. Anybody have any more questions about Iceland? Richest YouTube channel. I love it. I love it. Cassandra Goss is here as well. Thank you for being here, Cassandra. We appreciate it. Does anybody have any questions here? I wanted to make sure you see that because I think it's very important. We love our brothers and sisters in Iceland. I have some friends now in Iceland, and we want to make sure everybody's safe. Okay? Again, this is a hazard map for volcanic unrest there in Iceland. And this particular fissure is not anywhere close to Grindavik or even the Svartsengi power plant. So there's nobody in any kind of danger right now. Heidi Petrick is asking, could there ever be a time when the entire southern part of the country would be evacuated? Not right now. The southern part of the country over here in the Svartsengi, not the Svartsengi, I'm sorry, the Reykjanes Peninsula area here has had eruptions down south here in the far southern end of the peninsula. But right now, nothing is happening down there at all. The eruptive activity has gone north, as you can see, and the northern part of the Reykjanes Peninsula is where all the activity is right now. Now, if and when, and yes, during the last eruption back in May, the scientists were looking at the possibility of these fissures opening up and getting closer and closer to Reykjavik. If that happens, the fissure eruption will start on the on the eastern side of Reykjavik. They don't believe that anybody will have any danger even then, because the fissure will probably be farther east and north of Reykjavik. That's what they believe right now. Now that remains to be seen, okay? This is just estimates right now, since last May. They started talking about last May and they're still talking about it. Arnold Smith says, Ron, can you show an overlay or a split screen of the fissure? Let me see if I can do that. Hold on a second. I think I can do that. Okay, let's see what I can do here. Just a second here. Let me see what I can do here. I think I can do this. Let's see here. Come on, let's do this here. Let's see. Yeah. Okay, folks, it's kind of dark over there, so this picture might be a little bit dark. Now I'm going to move the map over to the right side of the screen here. And then I'm going to make this picture that I just put up, I'm going to make it a bit larger here so you can see it. Okay? This is a fissure that has been erupting, and this is the latest picture of it. This will give you a better idea of what is exactly happening over there in Iceland. As the fissure continues erupting, it's pouring lava out onto the landscape, and that's what you're seeing here. You're seeing rivers and lakes of lava flowing out from the fissure. Isn't that something? And that's live from Iceland right now. That is an incredible shot. That is really an incredible shot. Let me show you a shot of the lava field and the fissure back in December. That will give you a good idea of what happened back in December and what is happening now. It's a little bit, well, it's a lot different. It's very much a lot different than it was. Okay, now you see a little bit of what happened back in December and what's happening now. Okay? Plus, a December eruption was closer to Greenvik. Richard is asking, or not Richard, but the Richest YouTube is asking, Ron, can you point out or use your mouse to point to the areas you're talking about, please? N through U. Okay, let me try this. The areas that we're talking about here, let me move this December eruption over here to the left-hand side. The area we're talking about here is over in the gray area, okay? We're talking about zone 3 over in the gray area. If you go halfway up towards the center of the zone 3 area, that's where the eruptive fissure is. That's where this eruptive fissure is. And Juby Joe, yes, this is a very, very beautiful country. Beautiful landscapes. unreal. Okay, let me shut this one picture down here. And let's shut this December eruption down here as well. And let's go back here to this hazard map. Okay? Let's go back to the hazard map over here to zone 3 here. Okay, you see where zone 1 and zone 3 meet. Okay? At that area is where the Svartsengi power plant and the Blue Lagoon Spa is over on the left-hand side. The fissure eruption is over here to the right of that in this gray-black area. Okay? Right in that area. That's where that fissure is going right now. Just to give you a good idea. Now that was a good question, Rich's YouTube channel. I appreciate that. Any other questions here? Diane Kelman says, it's so sad to see all that lava. Yes, it kind of is. But this is a brand new thing happening. This is brand new news. Okay? This is changing the landscape of Iceland. It's changing the landscape of Iceland. But what did I say about Iceland before now? Before this latest eruption? The Atlantic plate is expanding. And the Atlantic plate is going right down the middle of Iceland. The Atlantic plate is going right down the middle of Iceland, right up the Reykjanes Peninsula, all the way through the island of Iceland. At some point in time, it will split that country in half. It could split that country completely in half. Juvie Joe says he got pictures from his brother back in the 70s and it looked like asphalt. Yes, in some areas it could look like asphalt. I've been up at the Craters of the Moon in Idaho. It does look like great big huge expanse of asphalt if that's what you're looking at over a large area. Yes, it does. I've been up to Yellowstone. In some areas of Yellowstone it looks like the same thing. It's incredible. That's not even a really good word. It's better than incredible. Okay, it's wild. It's absolutely wild what is happening. Okay? But with Iceland, you're seeing up-to-the-minute information. It's not like other volcanoes, for example, over in the Philippines or over in Africa, in the People's Republic of the Congo. It's not like over in Tonga, with the Hunga Tonga Hapai volcano that totally ripped up an island over in Tonga. It's not like the Philippines. It's nothing like Indonesia either. It's a completely different volcano. It's not throwing lava high into, thousands of feet into the sky. This is a fissure eruption. The lava fountains have gotten up to like 300, 400 feet high. This eruption, I think the lava fountains have gotten up to 300 feet high. That's, I think, the highest fountain that went up. Hurricane Heather says she pays a ransom because she works from her phone and does a lot of research. I totally understand where you're coming from there, Heather. Been there, done that. In fact, I get information from my phone. I get information from my tablet. I get information on my computer. It's incredible. Richard Smith says the Earth is going off the rails like a crazy train. Yes. Yeah, I think you're probably right. I think you're probably right. Now, folks, this is the 6th eruption since December. the 6th eruption since December, and it's the 9th eruption since November last year. Okay? Now, this eruption is coming just 2 months after the end of the previous eruption in May. Unreal. That previous eruption lasted more than 3 weeks. We don't know how long this eruption is going to last. Okay? We don't even have any idea. We have fountaining still occurring. We have those 3 craters that are starting being built. Okay? Those craters are just barely starting being built, and they're seeing that already. That crater activity did not happen until about 2 weeks before the end of the eruption, the last time. Now, I just got more information just a second ago. 22 or 23 houses in the village of Greenavik are occupied. 22 or 23 houses in Greenavik are now occupied. They have let those residents come back. They have been allowed to return between eruptions, but only a few have. Only a few have. Now there is no, I want to repeat again, there's no lava flowing towards Greenavik at all. Not at all. Iceland's famed Blue Lagoon thermal spa tourist attraction has also taken the precautionary measure of evacuating people and closing their operations temporarily. Okay? The entire Reykjanes Peninsula that we've been talking about have not experienced eruptions for 8 centuries until March 2021. They had not experienced any kind of eruption since until March 2021. 8 centuries, 800 years. Further eruptions occurred in August 2022 and in July and December 2023. This is making sure that, actually it's not making sure, it's leading volcanologists to warn that a new era of seismic activity has begun in Iceland. A brand new era of eruptions has begun in Iceland. Is this going to last for 2,000 or 3,000 years, or 200 years, 300 years? Nobody knows. Iceland is home to 33 active volcanic systems. 33 active volcanic systems. That is the highest number of volcanic systems in Europe. It straddles that mid-Atlantic ridge we just got through talking about. That huge crack in the ocean floor that's separating Eurasia and the North American tectonic plates. Okay? It's huge. And like I said, the mid-Atlantic fault is separating Iceland 1 inch, 1 centimeter, 1 millimeter at a time. 1 centimeter, 1 millimeter at a time. And now I'm seeing more buffering here. And now we're back. I don't know what just happened because our CPU usage is way, way down. 1.8%, 2.1%. I have no idea why we're being buffered at all. Songstress Griffin is here. Thanks for being here. She says, that's some crazy looking stuff going on. I agree. And yes, Renee, we're glad to see you. We hope everything's going on good for you. We miss you. We really miss you. We hope your health is going well. We hope your foot and everything is getting better. That's awesome news. That's really awesome news that you're here. Juby Joe says no buffering on his end. I had real big bad buffering going on my end. It actually stopped the stream here. So I hope that doesn't continue because I have a lot more things to talk about. A ton more things to talk about. Does anybody have any questions for me so far? Now, yesterday we were going to talk about Southern California earthquakes. Because we never got to those yesterday, we're going to talk about them tonight. We're going to talk about them tonight. Again, we talked about Cascadia for the most part last night. Okay? We know for a fact that the Cascadia megathrust earthquake is going to happen. The latest information we got as of yesterday is the Cascadia megathrust earthquake is imminent. That is exactly what that report showed. Okay? When we talked about the Cascadia megathrust earthquake happening, Chris Goldfinger, who is the chief geologist, he is the professor of geology over at Oregon State University, back in December 2019, Chris Goldfinger said that the Cascadia subduction zone, when the earthquake happens, will trigger the San Andreas Fault. The Cascadia subduction zone will trigger the San Andreas Fault. That means that energy is going to go all the way down through California, all the way down to northern Mexico. Okay? It's going to go all the way down the west coast of Canada and the United States. It's going to be felt up in Alaska. Okay? We talked last night briefly before YouTube shut us down about the tsunami that's going to happen. Within the first 20 to 30 minutes after the first earthquake happens. Yes, the first earthquake. There's going to be dozens and dozens and dozens of aftershocks. But about 15 to 30 minutes after that initial shock, we're going to see a tsunami. A tsunami. Why? When that earthquake happens, let me move this microphone slightly out of the way here. When that first earthquake happens, the seafloor is going to drop like this. The seafloor is going to drop like this, if you can see my hands. The water that's over at the shoreline of Washington, Oregon, Canada, is going to rush away from shore. The same thing is going to happen in California and Canada. Canada, Washington, Oregon, and California. The water is going to rush away from shore. It's going to fill that void when the seafloor drops. The seafloor is going to drop as a result of that earthquake. Seafloor is going to drop. The ocean waters from the shoreline is going to rush out to sea to fill that void. Then, after the water hits that void, it's going to rush back to shore like this. A huge wave, anywhere from 100 to 150 foot high. Huge wave. The wave is going to inundate the entire area of the coast, at least in Washington, Oregon, all the way over to Interstate 5. The entire western side of Washington, Oregon are going to be inundated with water. What the earthquake did not destroy, the water tsunami will. Initially, USGS said that there probably would not be any more than 1,800 people killed. That is a far cry from what is actually going to happen. 1,800 people killed? I think that figure is far from being true. I'm thinking more than tens of thousands of people will be killed by that earthquake, up and down the entire west coast of North America, from Canada south to California. Because the tsunami is not just going to be in Canada, Washington, and Oregon. The tsunami is going to be under the entire western United States, California included. It's going to happen. We know it's going to happen. Okay? I want to talk about people getting prepared. I want to talk about people being prepared. Yes, we talk a lot about disasters. We talk a lot about earthquakes. We talk a lot about earthquakes. We talk about tornadoes. We talk about hurricanes. We talk about cyclones. We talk about terrible windstorms, snowstorms, rain, fire, and floods. That's why we want to maintain our preparedness levels. That is exactly why we want to maintain our preparedness levels. Alan Newton, it's good to see you. He says he's been driving between Portland and the coast this week, checking on his girlfriend, going out to get her tonight and tomorrow, staying aware and prepared, knowing the dangers. Thank you, Alan. We appreciate that. I do not think, yes, it could happen. Yes, it could happen. But I don't think that earthquake is going to happen today or tomorrow. It could happen anytime. Anytime. The dangers are there. The dangers are there. The report I passed on to you last night told us that that earthquake is imminent, which means a tsunami is also imminent. It's going to happen. Now, I want to show you the USGS map briefly. I just want to show it to you briefly. I'm not going to stay on it. I don't want to stay on it. I have no business staying on it. But I want you to see what's going on as well. Okay? So I'm taking down my mug. Now you notice a large earthquake down off the coast of Panama. You notice a large earthquake already appearing over at Kamchatka Peninsula. That has happened. This earthquake over at Kamchatka Peninsula has happened. This is a 6.0 earthquake that happened 24 minutes after midnight last night. 24 minutes after midnight last night, we had another 6.0 earthquake, and it came out as a 6.2 very strong earthquake. It came out as a 6.2 very strong earthquake. Notice where it is. It's just off the southeast coast of Kamchatka Peninsula here. It's on top of that earthquake fault. It's on top of the southwestern Pacific fault here. Okay? On the plate. On the plate. That means energy came from the south, all the way up here to Kamchatka again. It's headed north until it gets to the Aleutian Island fault zone. Then that energy, excuse me, that energy is also going to take that energy all the way over to Alaska, all through the Aleutian Island fault zone. Now the last earthquake that we saw happened over here just between the southern Alaska Peninsula and the Aleutian Island fault. Okay? Just happened to happen just south of I'm thinking Swedish now. It happened off the coast of the Alaska Peninsula here. Now I can't even remember what the name of the town is. I'm thinking Swedish. I'm thinking Sandviken, but it's not Sandviken. Anyway, it was over there where 3 years ago, we had a 7.8 and an 8.7 earthquake. Okay? Right here off the southern peninsula of Alaska, right here. Now this just happened this week. This just happened this week. What's going to happen when that 6.0 earthquake comes over here? We already had that major earthquake over in the Kamchatka Peninsula area. This 6.0 earthquake that we now have, the USGS has downgraded, is just an aftershock of that 7.2. It's just an aftershock, but that energy is still traveling over here. It's going to travel over here. We may have another earthquake over here in the Aleutian Island area. We may have another earthquake over here to the south of the Alaska Peninsula. Or that seismic energy still that is locked up here in the Gulf of Alaska still could hit here up in Alaska. Again, I'm putting the warning voice up now to put the people in Alaska on earthquake watch. Possibly within the next 10 days, they may see a very large earthquake. You folks in Alaska may see a very large earthquake here. Batten down the hatches. You need to get everything prepared for what may happen. Okay, I'm just putting that out there. You need to get prepared for whatever may happen. We've seen it happen before. Right after I came on the air 5.5 years ago, we had a 7.0 earthquake hit over in Anchorage, Alaska. That was my first major earthquake that I covered. I've covered many other major earthquakes since. I'm just putting Alaska on notice that you may see another very large earthquake hit Alaska sometime in the next 10 days. Sometime in the next 10 days. There are other earthquakes over here just off of the Japanese coast. USGS is not talking about any of them. None. Just southeast of Japan, over here in the Izu Islands, we had a 4.5 moderate earthquake in the Izu Islands. South of that, the Volcano Islands had a large 5.0, and USGS has downgraded that to a 4.9. What a bunch of bull. I'm going to go down here to the Philippines. Now, I have an affinity for the people in the Philippines. I've had a lot of Filipino people in San Diego that I worked with. Police officers here in the United States that I worked with. I became very close to many of them. I was actually riding people over here in the Philippines back in the 90s. I still hear from people in the Philippines now. My son filled a mission for his church here in the Philippines as well. Over here in the southern Philippines here, just south of Mindanao, Philippines, near Ponagait, Philippines, we had another 4.6 earthquake today. 131 kilometers deep. 131 kilometers deep here. They're not showing any earthquakes at all in Indonesia. There are about 20 earthquakes here in Indonesia that they're not telling us about, because USGS is too stupid to get their heads out of their butts. That's a sad state of affairs. They're not saying anything about Indonesia or Papua New Guinea. Over here in Tonga area, again, this is a moderate 4.3 earthquake over here off the coast of Hihifo, Tonga. 4.3 moderate earthquake. This is fairly deep. This is not a very deep earthquake, but it's fairly deep. This is 356 kilometers deep. Still a fairly deep earthquake. I don't think this 4.3 is going to propagate anything, because it's still a moderately deep earthquake. It's not very deep at all. We go over here to the only earthquake that just happened over here in Chile. Unfortunately, Chile has a bunch of earthquakes today. And unfortunately, the USGS isn't showing any of them but this that just happened. This is a 4.5 earthquake over here in central Chile, near Coquimbo, Chile. 4.5 moderate earthquake. This is 32 kilometers deep. Most of the earthquakes here in Chile are between Coquimbo and Antofagasta, Chile, to the north. Most of those earthquakes are to the north. Like I said, there's about 20 earthquakes here in South America that USGS is not talking about. Heaven forbid they talk about and give us the truth. We have a good-sized earthquake over here off the coast of Panama. This is southwest of Arenas, Panama. This is a 5.1 large earthquake. A 5.1 large earthquake. Okay? Again, they're not showing all the earthquakes here in Central America either. There's about 30 earthquakes here in Central America. Going further north, this is up at the coastline and the border area of Nicaragua and Costa Rica. This is a 4.3 earthquake, 58 kilometers deep. Just north of that, also over here off the coast of El Salvador. This is a moderate 4.1, also 38 kilometers deep. Going north, This is unreal. Southern Mexico, guys. Southern Mexico here. This is on land. This earthquake is on land. This came out as a 5.2 earthquake earlier today. 4:34 this afternoon Eastern Time. Came out as a 5.2 earthquake. It's been downgraded again to a 4.9. Unreal. The 0.9 society is alive and well. Now, I have not had time to ascertain the validity of the size of earthquake. I will. I believe this is probably larger than the 5.0. This is at least a 5.0. Okay? We will ascertain what's going on. I don't have any reports of injuries or fatalities or any damage. But given the size of this earthquake, there's going to be damage. I promise you there will be damage here. The people in this part of Mexico don't have money. They do not have a lot of money. Okay? I just zoomed in here so you can see what I'm talking about. There is a village to the north over here by the Caribbean Sea here. There's a small village there, and between that earthquake and that village over the coastline, I believe there's another village here. There are people in this area. Okay? We will see what we see. I will do some checking to find out exactly what happened here. But the fact of the matter is, USGS is still not showing any other earthquakes here in southern Mexico. Because of this 5.0 earthquake here in southern Mexico, I believe that energy is going to go up towards Texas. I believe that large earthquake energy is going to go towards Texas because it's over on the eastern side of Mexico. It's going to go up the eastern side of that plate there, all the way into Texas. So we may see a larger earthquake in Texas sometime within the next 3 to 10 days. Yes, it could happen within the next 72 hours. We've seen it happen before, it could happen again. So I'm just putting Texans on alert for a possible large earthquake as well. Okay? Let's go into California. We talked about the Cascadia subduction zone last night briefly. Actually, it's the only thing we talked about last night. Over here on the southern side of the Cascadia subduction zone, we have an earthquake over here on the southern end of the Cascadia subduction zone. Folks, this earthquake is a 3.0 small earthquake. 3.0 small earthquake on the southern side of the Cascadia subduction zone. On the southern end of the Gorda Escarpment here, we have a 2.1 earthquake here. This is on the southern side of the Gorda Escarpment and the southern side of the San Andreas Fault. The San Andreas Fault starts here and goes all the way through California, down through Mexico, and all the way down to southern Mexico on the coastline. That's a very long fault zone. That is a very long fault zone. Juby Joe, I'm sorry to hear that your daddy didn't care about you. I'm so sorry. I've heard that story many times. That is so sad. God bless you, Juby Joe, and God bless you, Catherine, as well. That's so sad. Anyway, folks, please let us stay here and talk about earthquakes. Please hang in here with me with what we're talking about. I would rather you talk about what we're talking about than anything else. I'm so sorry to hear about Juby Joe and Catherine. That's got to be devastating. And blessed be our sacred children, absolutely. Thanks, Heather. Now, I want to go over here. This is important. This is the geysers area. We have a swarm of earthquakes here. We have a swarm of earthquakes here every day. The geysers area is a geothermal power plant area. It's in Sonoma County here in Northern California. Earthquakes happen here every day. Why? Because, folks, men who drilled into the great big huge lake there. There just happens to be a volcano at that lake. It's called the Clear Lake Volcano. Men who drilled into the Clear Lake Volcano to harvest steam from the volcano, because 6 to 7% of all magma is water. So they drilled into that volcano to harvest steam from the magma to pull that steam out to power turbines here in the geysers, Sonoma County area. They do that every day. The seismic energy coming off the Pacific Ocean finds these drill points and it fractures rock at the drill points. That's why we're seeing earthquakes here. That's why we're seeing earthquakes here. Also, Clear Lake Volcano is an active volcano. Clear Lake Volcano has not erupted in a very, very long time. But we have had earthquakes at the Clear Lake Volcano as well. And they have nothing to do with the geothermal system over here in the geysers. That is why you see a swarm of earthquakes here. I want to go further south here. Okay? First off, I want to stop over here in Nevada, the border area of Nevada and California. I want to go over here to Mono Lake you see here. Mono Lake is actually a volcano, monovolcano. Right here, right next to it, just east of it, is the Aurora Bodhi craters. Aurora Bodhi craters. Aurora Bodhi craters are a volcano unto itself. Today here we have a 2.4 earthquake and we have a 2.3. Aurora Bodhi craters here. Okay? Further south here, south and east, right here, we have another series of earthquakes here. This is Goldfield, Nevada. Goldfield, Nevada. Most of these earthquakes are 2.0, 2.1, 2.2, 1.2, 0.3 microquake here. This is a 2.6 earthquake here. Look at all these swarms happening here. 2.6 minor earthquake there. Look at these swarms here. 1.5, 1.6. Let's zoom in here and find out why this area is moving. Want to zoom in here, see what you think. This is a volcanic field. This is very much a volcanic field here, guys. There are craters. There's a lava field here. There's cones and craters throughout this area. That is why we're having earthquakes here. Again, magma from that deep magma plume down, way down, underneath the earth, inside the earth, near the core of the earth, there's a magma plume way down in the South Pacific, and that magma plume is sending magma all the way over to all the volcanoes around the world. Even this here near Goldfield, Nevada. That is why we're getting earthquakes here. This is a 2.5 here. I showed you a 2.6 a minute ago. This is a 2.3. This is a huge lava field. Very much a huge lava field, and that's why they're getting hit today. Okay? We've seen this happen before. We've seen this happen a lot before. Further south, this is also 18 kilometers southeast of Goldfield. Southeast of Goldfield. Still, this area is a magma field. Oh, excuse me, not a magma field. It's a lava field. It's a lava field. Now, way back in the 1950s, 74 years ago, 60 to 70 years ago, The United States government and other governments allowed by the U.S., including Britain, came over here to test the atomic bomb. They came over here to test the atomic bomb. So not only do we have fissures here, craters here from lava fields, volcanoes here that haven't erupted in a very, very long time, we have these deep faults here caused by atomic energy blasts here in the desert of Nevada. Okay, that's what's going on here. Yes, there is volcanism here as well, but there were also a lot of atomic blasts near here back in the 1950s. Okay? It's incredible. But I want to show you that. That's why there's a swarm of earthquakes happening here. Over here, this is a different story entirely. This is the Mojave Desert. Okay? This is Trona, California. This is not Trona, California. This is south of Trona, California by 27 kilometers. About 10 miles south of Trona, California. This is a 1.2 tremor here. This is also northeast of where? Ridgecrest, California. Ridgecrest, California. We go further north, also in the Mojave Desert here. This is Little Lake, California, a 1.0 tremor. We have tremors and earthquakes here all the time. This is a 0.7 here. This is a 1.6 in Kozo Junction. What is Kozo Junction? This is another volcanic field here. This is an entirely different volcanic field here. Kozo Volcanic Field. It's just not one volcano, guys. It's a series of volcanoes out here in the desert of California. Okay? Over here we also have something else going on. And you can see some of the cones and rifts of the lava that never made it past the underground parts of the earth here. We see rising up here, and I forgot what it's called here, where the magma down in the earth rises up and does not break the surface of the earth. That's why you see these round artifacts here. Magma that did not make it past the surface. Okay? But right next to it, in the Kozo volcanic field, what is this? This is another geothermal facility here. Another geothermal facility over here in Kozo volcanic field. How about that? This is another reason we have earthquakes here at Kozo volcano. Because the seismic energy is finding the drill points where men have drilled into the upper magma chambers of the Kozo volcanoes to pull steam out to generate electricity out here in the Kozo volcanic field. Just so you know, guess what they call this? They call it Devil's Kitchen. One of the reasons they call it Devil's Kitchen is because it gets so hot out here. I was out here one day, it was 26 or 126 degrees in the shade. 126 degrees in the shade. Okay? There's a gas station just west of here, right next to Highway 395. For those of you that know California, Highway 395 was actually one of the main drags here in California that left San Diego and serviced all the way up to Utah. Highway 395 is right here. You can see it here. Good old Highway 395. And I believe right here, well, no, it's not there. Let me see if I can find it. There's a gas station and a motel complex right here in this area. It's probably right here. There's a hotel and gas station complex right here, And years ago, I stopped here to get gas, and it was 126 degrees Fahrenheit. That's why they call this Coastal Volcanic Field Geothermal Facility Devil's Kitchen. It's super heat, super hot. Okay? And we have an earthquake over here in Coastal Volcanic Field right here. This is a 1.6. South of here, Little Lake, California, is 0.6 here, and 0.7 here. Further southeast here, a 1.0 tremor. Little Lake, California. When the huge earthquake happened in Ridgecrest, this whole area here, this entire area was full of earthquakes. Thousands and thousands of earthquakes hit this Mojave Desert area, all the way up north to Olancha, California. Completing the whole earthquake scenario here, the whole place had thousands of earthquakes here, thousands of earthquakes, as a result of the 7.2. I'm going to call it 7.2 because now scientists believe that that Ridgecrest earthquake was actually an 8.0. An 8.0. Juby Joe is asking us to turn up the volume here. I'll turn it up a little bit more here. Joby Joe, is this better? I just turned it up a great deal, actually. I hope it's not overmodulated. I don't want us to be overmodulated at all because you're not going to be understanding anything I tell you. Now I want to go over here into Southern California. I want to talk about what's going on. Before I go into the seismologist, over here to the seismologist graphs, the seismograms, I'm going to show you one other earthquake area. This is the Grapevine. The Grapevine still has swarms of earthquakes here. 2 weeks ago we had a very strong earthquake here. We had a very strong earthquake here. We're still having aftershocks here. Aftershocks all over this area. This is a 1.2. This is a 1.4 near Maricopa, California. Further out east here, also in the Grapevine, a 1.1. This is a 1.4. This is a 1.9, 2.0. And this is a 1.4. We're still seeing this small swarm of earthquakes here after a very strong earthquake hit here in the Grapevine. I believe we're going to still have earthquakes here for a very long time because that was a very strong earthquake. Now we're not seeing any earthquakes here in Pasadena area here. I believe we're going to see these earthquakes, but they're not talking about it. They're absolutely not talking about it. And I checked earlier today with the Pasadena Jet Propulsion Laboratory, and they've not been reporting even tremors there. They have a seismograph at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, and they're telling me that they have not had any tremors at all there. None. I find that hard to believe. I find that very hard to believe. Ray Spur says he's been listening. Welcome, Ray. We appreciate you being here. But that's what's going on. We had a very good-sized earthquake, a large earthquake hit Jet Propulsion Laboratory, that whole area. And yet they're not showing any earthquakes here in Southern California at all. What a lie that is. What a lie that is. Out here, and I keep talking about this. Every time I talk about earthquakes in Southern California or up in the Cascadia area, we have a supposed quarry blast here. A supposed quarry blast. This is a 1.3 tremor here, guys. This is a 1.3 tremor. Folks, I hate to tell them, this is not anywhere close to that quarry. This is about a mile from that quarry. About a mile from the quarry. They have no business calling this a quarry blast. This is a 1.3 tremor out here near Home Gardens, California. Okay? A mile away from any of those quarries at all. It's sad that that they call it a quarry blast. USGS honestly probably has no other clue what's going on. Oh, we have a quarry out there, we'll call it a quarry blast. Catherine Sigerson over in Canada is saying that she's getting buffered. I'm so sorry. Dadgum gophers again, Don Patoka says. Dadgum gophers. Okay, further northeast here. This is Loma Linda, California. I'm about to show you in just a few minutes a seismograph, seismograph is a machine. I'm going to show you a seismogram showing you what's going on here. This earthquake hit here at 12:15 this afternoon, Eastern Time. That means it happened about 9:15 this morning, Pacific Time. This is a 0.7 here. Doggone USGS. I hate USGS. I hate USGS, guys. I just had to take down our map here because USGS cut me off. If it's not getting buffered by YouTube, it's getting taken down by USGS. Dadgum stupid fools. I hate it. But yes, we are getting earthquakes up here in the Redlands area. We're getting earthquakes over here in the Loma Linda area here. It's going to happen. It's been happening a lot lately. Again, this is a 1.2 in Loma Linda. This is a 0.7 Loma Linda. This is in the Redlands here. It's a 1.1 tremor here. Over here, Mentone, California just got hit. It was red just before I turned it blue. This is also 1.1 tremor. 1.1 tremor, guys. But this tremor is right next to what? The San Andreas Fault. The San Andreas Fault, guys. Further south, Banning, California, also right next to the San Andreas Fault. Further south, San Jacinto, California. I'm just about to show you a seismogram from San Jacinto. They're showing a 0.3 microquake here at San Jacinto, California. This happened at 9 a.m. this morning. Interesting enough. Okay? San Diego County. Julian, California. They're showing a 1.0 tremor here. Northeast of there, Borrego Springs. I'm going to show you seismograms from Borrego and the Anza Borrego Desert State Park. This is a 0.6 microquake. Over here on the top of the Chocolate Mountains here, also in Borrego Springs, this is a 1.0 tremor here. South of there, also on the San Jacinto Fault, a 1.6 in Borrego Springs. Julian, California, 1.0 tremor. This is on the Elsinore Fault. The Elsinore Fault here. 1.0 and a 0.7 tremor microquake here in Julian, California. Remember what I told you about Julian, California. It's apple time. It's apple pie time in Julian, California. If you're anywhere near San Diego, drive down to San Diego, enjoy the sights in San Diego, and then drive out here into San Diego East County to Julian for hot apple pie at the restaurants, or pick your own apples and take them home and make your own pies, or your own apple cider. Further south, we have an earthquake over here in Ocotillo, California, over here in the foothills of the Chocolate Mountains here in the Imperial Valley. Over here in the Imperial Valley, I'm going to show you a seismogram here from Holtville. I'm going to show you a seismogram from the Salton Sea Desert Research Station complex here in Holtville. This is a 1.3 tremor here in Holtville. So hang on to your hats, guys. We're going to show you earthquakes here in Southern California right here, right now, on the Emergency Management Associates channel here. Get ready here. We're going to have a lot of fun now. I promise you, you are going to have a ton of fun here. Now, hold on here. Let me get rid of the earthquake map here. Let's go over here and show you what's actually going on here. Good old California seismos. Now, just off the coast of Los Angeles, this is Channel Island. We've always had earthquakes and tremors here on Channel Island. This morning, just after 5 a.m., okay? After 5:05 a.m., we have a 2.4 earthquake. 2.4 earthquake on the Channel Island here, off the coast of Los Angeles. Incredible. As you can see here, there are other 2.0, 2.3 earthquakes here, but they're also having a bunch of tremors here. They're having a ton of tremors here. This whole area is full of earthquakes. This whole area is full of earthquakes, guys, and it's not going to change. Let's continue here. San Clemente Island. It doesn't have as many seismic signals here on this seismogram, but we have tremors here. We have quite a few tremors here. Now, what we're also seeing here are these long duration tremor events. Long duration tremor events. But this is magma coming in from the Pacific Ocean. Magma coming in from the Pacific Ocean. These are magma signals. Pulse magma signals here. These pulse magma signals you see coming in magma here to San Clemente Island, and it's causing tremors here. The rock fracturing inside the magma channel is causing earth movement. Tremors here at San Clemente Island. You can see it here. Let's continue here. I now want to go out to the desert area of Bakersfield, California. Look what's happening here. Now, for the most part, this is just nothing more than tremors here. That's all that's happening here. The top of these seismograms come out after 5 a.m. They cover from 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. Now, I started pulling seismograms starting about noon, 1 o'clock time period. And that's why these seismograms end sometime even after 2 p.m. today. But you can see that for the general part, you're seeing nothing but tremors throughout this seismogram. That's what happened out here in Bakersfield, California. Great place, Bakersfield. I spent a great deal of time out here in Bakersfield in my lifetime in California. Bakersfield is a great place. Now let's go further south. Now, we did not see anything over at the San Bernardino Mountains here. We didn't see anything at Idlewild, California. We did not see anything at Cabazon. Look what's happening here. Look at these tremors here. This is not magma, this is tremors. Nothing but tremors. Long duration tremor activity here. Over here after 9:15, on the red line on the left-hand side, at approximately 9:04 a.m. this morning, we had a 2.8 earthquake here in Cabazon. You didn't see that on the earthquake map, did you? Because the USGS doesn't want to tell us about it. A 2.8 earthquake in Cabazon, guess where? On the San Jacinto Fault. Cabazon on the San Jacinto Fault. Okay? Look at all that activity. There's a lot of seismic activity that USGS is not talking about. Let's go out to Chino. Out to Chino. Look at these tremors here. This is normal. This is very normal. Out here in Chino, we see tremors here every week, every day of every week, every day. It does not change. We see tremors here every day in Chino. Folks, it's moving. The ground is moving. At some point in time, these tremors are going to turn into full-blown earthquakes. Some point in time, these tremors are going to turn into full-blown earthquakes. Then what? Then my friend Art out there is going to be pulling his hair out, what hair he has left. This is a lot of seismic activity out in Chino, California. The whole place is moving. The whole place is moving. Let's go over to Idlewild, okay? USGS did not show anything going on there. What's going on? There was a 3.3 earthquake in Idlewild. Idlewild is in the western part of the San Bernardino Mountains. A 3.3 earthquake there. And USGS did not even put it up. USGS didn't even put it up 2 days ago. And USGS did not even put it up. What a bunch of crap that is. USGS did not even show that. I find that to be abhorrent. Because our seismic agency that we count on doesn't even show a small earthquake. Let's go out to the desert to Rancho Mirage. Rancho Mirage is showing nothing but tremors here. Long duration tremors and minor tremors all over the place. That's out in the desert area. Good old California. Good old California. How about Riverside? In the past 2 years, I've not seen any good-sized earthquakes at all. I've not seen any good-sized earthquakes here in Riverside. Now, there was a point over 2 to 3 years ago we were seeing full-blown earthquakes out here in Riverside. We haven't seen a good-sized earthquake 2.0 or larger here in Riverside in at least 3 years. We are seeing 2.0s, we're seeing 3.0s, 3.5s earthquakes all the time here in Riverside. Lately, nothing. Nothing. I have a feeling that's going to change. I have a feeling this is going to change. Okay. Let's go out to the San Andreas Fault out near Victorville, California. This is where Isaiah's granny lives. I don't see Isaiah's granny here with us today, which is sad. I care very much for Isaiah's granny. She's a great lady. Out here we see nothing but tremors today. Nothing but tremors. They don't even get to size past 1.5 tremor. Okay? 1.5, 1.6 tremors at the largest. Okay? Victorville, California. Out in the desert. Idlewild. Okay? Here is that seismogram at Idlewild. Nothing but tremors here. Nothing but tremors here in Idlewild. Interesting. Interesting. Now, I want to go to Los Angeles now. I want to show you what is happening over in the Baldwin Hills. This is in the oil and gas drilling area of Los Angeles, the Baldwin Hills. Just east of the Baldwin Hills, we had a 3.2 earthquake the other day, about 3 days ago. They did not show it on the seismogram. They're not showing much of any activity here. This is typical for the Baldwin Hills. This is very typical. Nothing but tremors. When we do see an earthquake here, guess what? That means the oil and gas pressure coming out of the earth is reduced. When we see an earthquake here in Los Angeles, almost anywhere in LA, especially here in the Baldwin Hills area, the oil and gas pumping pressures goes down. And then the oil and gas producers started getting worried because they believe, and it's proven fact, that when the oil and gas pressures dip, we're going to have a larger earthquake here in Los Angeles. That's not the case today. Okay? But I want to show you that. Now let's go over to north of Los Angeles to Del Amo. Look at this. Look at this. Yes, some of this is tremor activity. Some of this is nothing more than 1.5, 1.7, 1.8 tremors. But we are also seeing 2.0 minor earthquakes as well. 2.0 minor earthquakes here. This is typical for Del Amo. But what we have not seen in a while is side-to-side, top-to-bottom seismic activity like this. Complete color top to bottom here. Complete color top to bottom. That is a lot of seismic activity here in Del Amo. And I'm going to show you a lot more right quick here. Let's go over to Ellis, California. Look at this. This is another place where at the beginning of the morning this morning we had tremor activity. Then all of a sudden, literally all of a sudden, just about 6:35 this morning, the tremors come from 1.2, 1.3 tremors to 2.8, 2.9, and then 3.0 earthquakes. 3.0 small earthquakes. 6:06 this morning, we have a 3.0 earthquake. Okay, look at that. And then you can see these 3.0 earthquakes happening again, twice more. Once after 1:30 this afternoon. 1:30 this afternoon is over on the left-hand side. It says 1300. That's 1 o'clock on that black line. You go down to the blue line here, that's 1:30. You come over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Just before 1:39, we have another 3.0 earthquake. 1:39, we have another 3.0 earthquake. And I'm having to still put up with YouTube throwing commercials up on my channel. Unreal. Richard Smith said, or Ray says it's a colorful rug. Yeah, it sure looks like it, doesn't it? Richard Smith says, Ray, my mother had a rug that looked like that. So did mine. But we're seeing 3.0 earthquakes here in Ellis, California. Fascinating, huh? We're not done. Let me show you Laguna, California here. Look at this. Yes, there are no earthquakes here. There are tremors. Tremors side to side, top to bottom here. They are not completely covering this seismogram though. These are tiny tremors, anywhere from 1.0 all the way up to 1.3 tremors here. I don't even see a 1.5 tremor here in Laguna, California. This is on the southern coast of Los Angeles, Laguna, California. Okay? I love Laguna, California. It's a very beautiful area, California, and I have friends that live in there. Okay? Now, let's go over to Long Beach. I love Long Beach. Look at this. Side to side, top to bottom, tremors and earthquakes. Tremors and earthquakes. I think the largest earthquake here is a 2.5 minor earthquake. But still, top to bottom, side to side, seismic activity. This is getting to be normal. 3 years ago, we didn't see this. We didn't see this at all. Occasionally, we would see a 2.0 earthquake. Occasionally. Now you're seeing more and more of these earthquakes Yes, there are tremors built in here as well, but we're seeing more and more earthquakes here as well. A lot of them. This is Long Beach. This is Long Beach. During the past few weeks, we've had 3.5 earthquakes here in Long Beach. I've shown you those earthquakes here on this channel. Okay? Let's look at something else. How about Los Alamos National Laboratory? Look at this. Yes, we are seeing tremors here. We are seeing a lot of tremors. But there's also an earthquake here. There's a couple of them. This first earthquake is after 9:30 this morning. 9:36 this morning, we have a 3.0 earthquake. We don't see the top of it, we see the bottom part of this quake. The 3.0 small quake here in Los Alamos, California. Furthermore, at 1:31 this afternoon, we have another. 1:31 this afternoon, we have another 3.0 earthquake. We used to never see 3.0 earthquakes here at Los Alamos at all. Nothing. Today we're seeing tremors, we're seeing minor earthquakes, up at the top on the green line on the right-hand side. Right before 6 a.m., this would be 5:58 a.m. this morning, a 2.0 earthquake. Okay? And then 2 3.0s later today. Los Alamos National Laboratory. Wild, huh? We haven't even scratched the surface. Let's go over to downtown Los Angeles. Look at this. Downtown Los Angeles. Look at that. Folks, we had a series of 3.0 small earthquakes here in downtown Los Angeles, and USGS didn't say one word about them. They didn't put them on the map. They didn't say one word about them. This happened after 7:30 this morning. About 7:40 this morning. A series of 3.0 earthquakes. 7:30, 7:31, and again about 7:43 this morning. We had a series of 3.0 earthquakes here. Downtown Los Angeles. Good old LA. Now I told you we were going to go over to Loma, California. Look at this. Yes, we're seeing tremors here. A lot of tremors up here at Loma. Loma is just south of Loma Linda. So we're seeing tremors here. We're seeing a lot of tremors here at Loma. This is getting to be typical. We've actually seen 3.0, 3.5s, and even a 4.0 earthquake here about a month ago. Loma, Loma Linda, California. This is on the San Jacinto Fault. This is on the San Jacinto Fault. This is just south of the San Andreas. Just south of the San Andreas. Out to the north, out to the east of the San Jacinto, you have the San Andreas Fault. Okay? That's what we're seeing here. Let's keep going here. Let's go just north of Los Angeles again. Moore Park, California. Look at this. Look at this, guys. Earthquakes here. Earthquakes. No joke. No cotton picking joke here. Let me raise this up a little bit so you can see the full tone of this earthquake here. The top of this seismogram is 5 a.m. All we see here are tremors and 1.5, 1.7 tremor at all. Throughout the morning, the tremors increase. The tremors increase. just after 10:15 this morning, 10:18 this morning, we have a 3.0 earthquake. Moore Park, California, just north of Los Angeles. Moore Park, California. What happened just after 2:15? Look at this. We have a series of tremors building up. We had a bunch of tremors after 2 p.m. on the black line here. The tremors build up and go away. But then after 2:15 on the red line, the tremors increase until we have a full-blown 3.0 earthquake. But they cut the top and the bottom off of this earthquake sequence. That means they're hiding magnitudes. They're hiding magnitudes of this earthquake. This earthquake lasted about 45 seconds. At least a 3.0, maybe even a 3.9 earthquake. Why do I call it a 3.9? Look out to the right side of this earthquake sequence. That's called a secondary wave. The secondary wave gives us a good idea on the strength of the quake. The secondary wave here lasts nearly 3 minutes. I'm sorry, 2 minutes. It lasts nearly 2 minutes, and then we have another 3.0 earthquake. This may have been as high as a 3.5 to 3.9 earthquake here in Moore Park, California. Incredible. Why are they not showing this on the map? Juby Joe says, Ron speaking on a Bose speaker is awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Juby Joe. I don't have a Bose speaker myself. I used to, but I don't anymore. Yes, I do love Bose speakers. I love Bose speakers. I wish I had a set of Bose speakers now. But folks, that's Moore Park, just north of Los Angeles. Earthquakes. Earthquakes, guys. How about Pardee, California? Look at this. For the most part, this is just tremors. But here we're also seeing 2.9, 3.0 earthquakes. That 3.0 earthquake happens over here near the center, this seismograph, after 9:15 in the morning. In fact, I think this is actually 9:20. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, it's 9:06 this morning. I'm sorry, 9:06. 9:21 this morning. 9:21 this morning, we have a 3.0 earthquake here. Unreal. Uncotton picking real here. Pardee, California, just north of downtown Los Angeles. Yes, we're seeing some 2.0 activity here as well. Pardee, California, guys. Pardee, California. Let's keep going here. Okay? Now, I want to go over to the coastline, the northwestern side of Los Angeles. Let's go to Playa del Rey, Marina del Rey area. Nothing but tremors here. Just very minor 1.0, 1.1, 1.2 tremors. Nothing larger than that. Maybe 1.3. That's all here along the coastline. This is a very ritzy area, guys. There are yachts, there are boats here, and a lot of people with a lot of money in Playa del Rey, Marina del Rey area. A very expensive part of Los Angeles. A very expensive part of Los Angeles. Let's go down south from there, south and east to Rancho Palos Verdes. Rancho Palos Verdes. Yes, we're seeing some tremors here as well. Look at that. A ton of tremors here in Rancho Palos Verdes. Wild. Wild. Again, they're not talking about it on the USGS map. Making no mention of it at all. How about Rinaldi, also part of Los Angeles, a suburb of LA? Rinaldi, California. Look at this. Tremors and minor earthquakes here. Tremors and minor earthquakes all over this seismograph. Unreal. Look, and I want to point this out. Look at the top line of this seismograph, just after 5 a.m. These are 1.2, 1.3 tremors, and they're strong tremors. That's how this seismograph starts out. Then they get a lot less. Then over about an hour to 2 hours, the tremors build again. 2.5 hours later, we have 2.0. Sorry about that. We have 2.0, 2.5 earthquakes. Minor earthquakes here. Rinaldi, California. This is a lot of seismic activity in Los Angeles, isn't it? This is wild. I showed you Long Beach. Let's show you Rio Hondo, California. Look at this. Tremors to beat the band. Almost complete colors here melding together. You don't hardly see any white paper in the background. Yes, these are digital seismographs. Digital seismographs, but the color doesn't stop side to side, top to bottom. This is also a lot of seismic energy here. Tremors, but it's a lot of seismic energy. It doesn't stop. Let's continue. I just love this. Let's go over to Anaheim, California. Home of Disneyland and Knott's Berry Farm. Most of you know exactly what I'm talking about. Some of you have even visited Knott's Berry Farm and Disneyland, California. Look at all of the earthquakes here. Look at all the 3.0, 3.4, 3.5 earthquakes here in Anaheim. State Street. Look at all these earthquakes. Unreal. The color doesn't stop either. Yes, we have tremors up at the top black line. But after about 5:30 this morning, the colors meld together. This is an awful lot of seismic activity and small earthquakes in Long Beach. Anaheim. I showed you Long Beach earlier. This is Anaheim here. It's an increase. It's an increase. And yet, the USGS is not showing any of this. Why not? Inquiring minds want to know why they're not showing it to us. We want to know. I think we have a right to know. Now, guys, they just shut down. They turned off my mouse here, but I've got my other device here as well. They can't turn me down. They can't take me down tonight. I'm not going to allow them. They can't take EMA down tonight. Anyway, I have a couple other things to show you. Okay? I showed you all of Los Angeles today. Literally. Let's go out east of Los Angeles to Walnut La Puente. Walnut La Puente. Look at this. Look at the earthquakes here. Look at the earthquakes here. 3.0 earthquakes all day long. All day long. This is a volcanic caldera east of Los Angeles. On the east side of Los Angeles. Some of these earthquakes have been cut off at the top and the bottom because they don't want us to know how strong these earthquakes were. This is La Puente caldera. The La Puente caldera. The caldera is remnants of when the volcano last erupted. It's the volcanic floor here. The town of La Puente and Walnut, California are built on the caldera. Richard Smith says, holy flying catfish. I agree. Unreal. Unreal. Deborah Reese says, fried chicken dinners with rhubarb. Oh, how I would love that. Deborah, you remember Knott's Berry Farm, don't you? I love rhubarb dessert. I love raspberry preserves from Knott's Berry Farm. I love it all. Well, look here. Earthquakes all over the place on the east side of Los Angeles. This is insane. This is very much insane, guys. Just insane. Let's continue here. I want to leave Los Angeles. I want to go south. I want to go south into the Imperial Valley here, if they'll let me here. Well, guess what? They just shut me down. They're not going to let me show you Imperial Valley, I don't think. Yeah, they just shut down my mouse and my pad here. Well, now it's going again. I want to go over to the first place I want to go is El Centro. Our buddy over in El Centro lives here. He lives here. He feels these earthquakes. Every one of these earthquakes are at least a 3.0 earthquake. Yes, there are also some tremors built in here. There are some tremors built in here. But for the most part, this is probably close to 30 to 40 earthquakes here. 30 to 40 3.0 earthquakes here in El Centro, California. Don Patoka says he loves rhubarb and tapioca. I do too. Rhubarb and applesauce. Oh yeah, that would make me go crazy. This is El Centro, guys. Good old El Centro, California. I say wow. That's all I can say is wow. That's incredible. But that's not over. Wait till I get to show you the rest of these seismograms. This is Southern California. Let's go from El Centro into San Diego. Let's show you just north of San Diego City. This is actually San Diego City, but it's north of the downtown area of San Diego. Look at this. Tremors that turn into full-blown earthquakes. Tremors that turn into full-blown earthquakes here. Look at this. This is incredible. This is the first time we've seen this on this seismogram. The first time ever. Just north of downtown at the San Diego Gas and Electric Power Building in San Diego. Mission Valley, San Diego. This is a lot of earthquakes here. This happened just after 10 a.m. this morning. The first earthquake started happening after 9:15. Then 10:15 came along, 10:45 came along, and they kept going. This is a lot of small earthquake activity in San Diego. Unreal, guys. When I saw this, I couldn't believe it. I have never seen this in 5.5 years in San Diego. We're reporting these earthquakes in San Diego. Silver Minx, you grow your own rhubarb? Oh, what I would give to have rhubarb pie. I'm going to have to find somebody here that has rhubarb pie. Now you guys are making me hungry. Okay, let's go back out to Imperial Valley. That was San Diego City. Unreal, guys. Uncotton picking real. I kid you not, it's unreal. I showed you El Centro. I want to go down to show you Holdville. USGS said we had a 2.5 earthquake in Holdville. Look at this. Yeah, we had a couple 2.5 earthquakes. They did not show all of them. They did not show all of them. We had a 2.5 earthquake about 7:35 this morning on the blue line near the top here. Okay? A 2.5 earthquake then. We had another 2.5 just after 12, let's see, 2, 3, 4, 12:04 or 12:34 this afternoon. Another 2.5 earthquake then. Unreal, guys. This is Holdville. This is at the Salton Sea Desert Research Station in Holdville. Unreal. Deborah says she remembers going to the beach and seeing many Hispanic people putting those strawberries in containers. Oh yeah, they still are. Out there in Holdville, you see avocados, you see lettuce, you see strawberries, you see all kinds of things. I don't remember all the vegetables out there, even squash being grown out there in El Centro and the Imperial Valley. Okay? Downstairs I have a avocado from El Centro. I never heard of an avocado in El Centro before, but they grow them. It was in Calipatria. It says Calipatria, not El Centro. It says Calipatria on the outside. Now, one more here. I'm not going to show you all of them in the Imperial Valley because there's a lot of activity in the Imperial Valley. Let's go over on the east side of the Salton Sea. The east side of the Salton Sea, guys, we have Bombay Beach. Bombay Beach. Look at this. This is where the San Andreas Fault goes underneath the Salton Sea and comes out on the south side of the Salton Sea. Look at these earthquakes here. 2.5, 2.8, 2.9, and 3.0 earthquakes. And you can see some of these signatures cut off at the top and the bottom. Again, the agencies are trying to keep the magnitudes away from us. They don't want us to see the true magnitudes of these earthquakes. Heaven forbid we know what's going on. That one in the middle there is after 10:30 this morning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It starts off at 10:36 in the morning with a tremor, then it instantly goes to 3.0 plus earthquake. Probably close to 3.5 earthquakes. This happens every day. This is not the only time you see these earthquakes. These earthquakes happen here at Bombay Beach all the time. This is a San Andreas Fault. This is what's going on the San Andreas Fault every day here in the Imperial Valley over here at Bombay Beach. Down inside the Imperial Valley where they grow things, where people live, it's less. But over here at Bombay Beach, it seems the shoes come off here. This is incredible. This happens every day. Deborah says, anyone know if that kitchen is still open for dinners? Oh, I would love that. I would love that. Does anybody have any questions about anything we talked about? Does anybody have any questions about any of these earthquakes we talked about? We've gone over a lot of information today. Does anybody have any idea what's going on? Juby Joe is saying Indiana. Yes, Indiana has earthquakes. Okay? I looked over in Evansville, Indiana. All we had The largest was a 2.0 earlier today. But they're having all kinds of tremors over in Evansville, Indiana, in that area. Unreal. Unreal. Arnold Schmidt, I still appreciate you being here. He says he doesn't have any questions. That's all right. That's okay. Guys, things are happening. Don is asking, when will it all go down? It could happen soon. Ray Spur says soon. I say soon as well. Folks, we had that 5.0 in southern Mexico earlier today. I'm going to go out on the limb to say that we may have another large earthquake in Southern California as early as tomorrow. As early as tomorrow. The last time I said it happened. We had a 7.0 in Southern Mexico a couple years ago, and I said the next day we would have that in Southern California, and it happened. I called it. So we may see a large 5.0 earthquake in Southern California as early as tomorrow. But honestly, I think it will probably happen within the next 72 hours to maybe 4 or 5 days. I'm just saying. Okay? Don Patoka said, Ray, soon is a 4-letter word. You're right. It is. Now, guys, I have a unique spiritual thought for you. I have a unique spiritual thought. First off, I've been meaning to show you this to you for weeks since I found it. Never forget, nothing is more powerful than prayer. Nothing is stronger than faith. And nothing is greater than God. Remember that. Nothing is more powerful than prayer, nothing is stronger than faith, and nothing is greater than God. That's for starters. Folks, I've got a lot to say tonight. I've had a lot to say. Now, I don't like being the only one talking, but I have a lot of things to say here tonight. I want to talk about hope. I want to talk about hope. I'm sorry, that wasn't it. Right here. I don't know why that disappeared. Hope for them that sit in darkness. Now, I want to give you a for instance. One night I was sitting here in my office in the EMA studio. I was sitting here, and it was earlier this summer when the sun was still out at 9 o'clock. I was here after the broadcast, and I was thinking about some things and going over some things in my mind and looking at the things on the screen here, and it started getting dark. And Carol came in and turned on the light. The only light before that was the screen of my computer. The only light was the screen of the computer. And that was fine. Except when she turned on the light, things changed. What happened? My whole outlook changed. Why? Because sometimes we get distracted. We sit in the darkness. We sit in darkness, and we're sometimes just fine with it. But what happens when we sit in darkness? We forget who we are. Sometimes we forget where we're at. Now, despite our best efforts, we often get distracted only to finally realize that one day that we're now in some form of darkness. Perhaps attending church no longer feels like worship, but merely going through the motions. Perhaps it has been so long since we've really connected with God in prayer that we begin to doubt if He's even listening. Perhaps our trials are so all-consuming that we've convinced ourselves God doesn't care. Think about that for a minute. We've been sitting in darkness for so long we forget that God even cares about us. I want you to know He does. Whatever darkness we find ourselves in, Satan would have us think that the light is gone forever. But the light is where it's always been. And we always have that power to turn it back on. The Lord instructs His servants to say to them that sit in darkness, show yourselves. Show yourselves. Now, I think that is such a beautiful testimony of the power that we possess. Just as darkness can't push out the light. Darkness can't push out the light. Satan can't push us into darkness either. It also can't keep us from stepping back into the light. The choice to show ourselves, to step back into the light, is this: to refocus on Christ. To refocus on Christ. This is important. To refocus on Christ and to reprioritize His will over our own life. To recognize His tender mercies, His love. Feel His love. Feel His love and know that the choice is always ours to make. The choice is always ours to make. Remember that. Remember that. Remember this also. Christ truly is the light of the world. But if we want Him to be the light of our world, we have to open the door. He will knock, but He will never barge in uninvited. We have to invite the Lord into our life. We have to invite the Lord into our life. He's not going to barge in uninvited. He wants us to pray. He wants us to ask for His love, to ask for His tender mercies in our life. So no matter what kind of darkness we find ourselves in, or how we came to be there, there is hope. There is a song that I remember from church. Hope is smiling bright all around us. Hope is smiling bright around us. Micah 7, chapter 7, verse 8. When we sit in darkness, the Lord shall be a light unto us. When we sit in darkness, the Lord shall be a light unto us. All we have to do is ask. All we have to do is ask. When I saw this spiritual thought last night, I thought of all of you that I wanted to share with you. Brothers and sisters, I love you. I love you. As you know, or you may not know, I have a testimony of Jesus Christ. I know that He lives. He and our Heavenly Father hear and answer our prayers. We came, we lived before this life began. We lived before this earth life began. We promised our Heavenly Father and Jesus Christ that if they allowed us to come here to this earth, we would gain a testimony of Him. And we would do our best to come back to Him. We would keep the commandments so that we could come back to Him. We have to do all that we can to return back to heaven, to live in the celestial kingdom in heaven. I bear you my testimony that I know that God lives. He hears and answers our prayers. We can return back to Him. All we have to do is ask. Diane Kellen says Satan is a liar. I agree. But all we have to do is ask. I love you. I care about you. Folks, it's Friday. We've talked about all the earthquakes all over Southern California tonight and around the world. We haven't done a lot of preparation here. Maybe tomorrow I'll do a members-only video, members-only program about earthquake preparation. I had it prepared, but I've run out of time. It's now 9 p.m. Eastern Time. A lot of people are going to want to go to bed. I love you all. Please remember to talk to the Lord. The Lord wants to bless you. The Lord wants to keep you. The Lord wants you to be with Him in heaven. And I hope and pray that each one of us can stand together and give each other's hugs when we get there. If you get there before I do, wait for me to get there, because I want to give you a hug as well. I hope you have a good night and better tomorrow. Maybe sometime tomorrow I will come, probably tomorrow afternoon, I'll come up on the air and do a members-only video about earthquake preparedness. On Sunday, I will come up on the air about 12 noon Eastern Time with Come Follow Me, the Savior Said. It's our weekly Sunday school class. I look forward to these Sunday school classes every Sunday. I really do. It's the highlight of my day, the highlight of my week. I love Sunday school class. This Sunday, I will talk about there is much contention in our lives. We're going to be talking about Jesus Christ. We're going to be talking about how we can enable the gospel to be more of a part of our life. May God bless you. May God be with you this day and always. I'm here for you. I'm always here for you. God be with you until we meet again. I pray that you always will have God's Spirit to be with you, always and forever. Brothers and sisters, I love you. Have a great day. Like I said, God be with you until we meet again. We'll see you on the other side. Have a good night.